Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Muhammad or Jesus Live from ABN. Our topic today is banning the minarets. The Swiss people voted to ban all new buildings of minarets on the mosques in Switzerland. And we know this world, the word is tolerance and intolerance used and misused in our governments in the Middle East and Europe. So this is our topic today, and we have our guest, David Wood. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Sam Shamoun, how are you?
How are you, brother?
Good. I'll get back to Sam.
Yes.
We were talking before about the intolerance of Islam to the non-Muslims.
Yeah, and that this is based on the teachings of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. And again, I say Prophet of Islam because as a Christian who's committed to the Bible, who loves the Lord Jesus Christ, the Eternal Son, I don't believe he's a prophet. He's one of the false prophets that the Bible spoke against. Now, with that said, I pray again, I speak clearly and accurately for the glory of Jesus Christ as I represent what the Islamic teachings have to say concerning the intolerant attitude of Muslims towards Jews and Christians and of other people of other faiths. Now, let me continue reading what Ibn Kathir said concerning chapter 9 of the Quran, verse 29. And by the way, for the audience, you can actually go on the internet and read Ibn Kathir's statements for yourself online for free. They have translated Ibn Kathir's commentary on the Quran in English, albeit in abridged form. It's an abridged English translation of Ibn Kathir's massive commentary on the Quran. You can go to www.tafsir.com, .tafsir.com, Tafsir.com. Check what he has to say concerning chapter 9 of the Quran, Surah Al-Tawbah, ayah or verse 29. There you'll see, right there, translated by Muslims, not Christians, not Jews, the following commentary. Let me continue reading where I left off, where Ibn Kathir mentioned a hadith narrated by Abu Huraira. Now, who's Abu Huraira? Abu Huraira would be like one of the disciples of the Lord Jesus Christ, someone who knew Muhammad personally, sat with him, learned from him and memorized his narrations. And one such narration that Abu Huraira passed on was that Muhammad said, do not initiate greeting, salam, to Jews and Christians and force them to the narrowest part of the road. Why? Because Jews and Christians are abased, right? Humiliated. People who are to be humbled by Muslims if they have the upper hand. Now, with that said, Ibn Kathir continues and says, now note what he says about Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second Khalif, the second Caliph. This is one of the four so-called rightly guided caliphs that Muhammad said that you are to emulate his sunnah, the sunnah of Muhammad and the four so-called rightly guided caliphs, one of which would include Umar ibn al-Khattab. Let's see what Ibn Kathir says. This is why the leader of the faithful, Umar ibn al-Khattab, and then Ibn Kathir prays for him, may Allah be pleased with him, demanded his well-known conditions be met by the Christians. These conditions that Umar imposed on Christians ensured their continued humiliation, degradation, and disgrace. Why did Umar impose these conditions? To ensure that Christians would continue in a degraded, humiliated, disgraceful condition. The scholars of Hadith narrated from Abdul Rahman bin Gham al-Ashari that he said, I recorded for Umar ibn al-Khattab the terms of the treaty of peace he conducted with the Christians of Hashem. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is a document to the servant of Allah, Umar, the leader of the faithful, from the Christians of such and such city. When you Muslims came to us, we requested safety for ourselves. I want you to catch the language of the treaty. When the Muslims came and threatened the Christians to attack them, the Christians requested safety. They were in no position to fight back. So when they requested safety from the Muslims, for themselves, for their children, property, and others who believe in Christianity, this is what the Christians say in this letter to Umar. We made a condition on ourselves that we will neither erect. Now pay attention to what Umar imposed on the Christians, because this directly ties in with the hypocrisy of Muslims who are complaining about what Switzerland has done. And I believe it's Switzerland, right?
Yes.
Switzerland. Forbidding them from building minarets. Not mosques, but minarets, mind you. Now notice the hypocrisy and the inconsistency of Muslims, because Umar did not allow Christians to do what? Erect in our areas a monastery, church, or a sanctuary for a monk. nor restore any place of worship that needs restoration, nor use any of them for the purpose of enmity against Muslims. So under Umar's rule, Christians could not build churches or monasteries or sanctuaries for monks. We will not prevent any Muslim from resting in our churches, whether they come by day or night, and we will open the doors of our houses of worship for the wayfarer and the passerby. Those Muslims who come as guests will enjoy boarding and food for 3 days at the expense of Christians, obviously. We will not allow a spy against Muslims into our churches and homes, or hide deceit or betrayal against the Muslims. We will not teach our children the Quran. Under the rule of Umar, Christians did not have the freedom in the privacy of their own homes to teach their children about the Quran and why the Quran cannot be truth from Allah and why they should never consider to be Muslims. Umar did not allow Christians that freedom in the privacy of their own homes to teach their children the Quran and its false teachings and why Muhammad is a false prophet. We will not publicize practices of shirk. And again, I know I'm taking some time on this, but let me explain what it means, practices of shirk. The cross, which Christians bear, the sign of the cross, is an item of shirk. It's a symbol of shirk. So Christians were not allowed to carry crosses. Why? Because that was a symbol of shirk, associating a creature in Islamic theology with Allah and attributing salvation to the death of one of Allah's creatures, meaning Jesus. So Muslims did not allow Christians to publicize their quote-unquote symbols or items of shirk, such as crosses. Invite anyone to shirk, meaning invite people to become Christians, because according to Islam, Christianity is the religion of shirk. And by the way, shirk means association, to associate partners with Allah. According to Islamic theology, to say that Jesus is the Son of Allah is shirk. And I'm a mushrik, associating a divine partner with Allah, which shows that Islam does not understand Trinitarian monotheism. Be that as it may, let me continue. Or prevent any of our fellows from embracing Islam. Now notice the hypocrisy. If a Christian wants to become Muslim, that's fine and dandy. But no Muslim can become Christian, and a Christian better not be caught trying to quote-unquote proselytize a Muslim. Do you see the blatant inconsistency and hypocrisy of the Muslims today who know these documents exist and know what their sources teach? Now let me just read this other line and then we can hand it to the host, and if they want to continue with this theme or go to callers, he'll decide. Let me just finish. We will respect Muslims, move from the places we sit in if they choose to sit on them. Now there's a lot more I can say, but for the sake of time I'll stop there. And if there's a Muslim who wants to challenge me to read the rest of it, or challenge any of the statements that I just read to you, please call in and challenge us to see whether we're quoting your sources accurately or distorting them, like Muslim apologists like to do with the Bible and Christian teaching.
As we know, this tolerance issue, when Islam conquered Egypt, they left them with 3 choices.
Precisely.
Yeah, to be a Muslim, to pay the zakat or the tax, or